Palaszczuk and Matt Michaels here with you on Mizzou Monday on KTGR as we get you set for the week ahead and also recap the week before. Missouri Tigers cruising to an 85-66 win against Mississippi State, and they didn't have to sweat much, Matt Michaels.
No, they were able to basically coast out the final 15 minutes or so of that game, which was helpful for the Tigers, let's be honest. They hadn't really had a coasty game since the home game against Alabama, where they were able to throttle the Crimson Tide in that one. And, the Bulldogs we knew they weren't going to put up much of a test. They were without their top scorer, who was at a family funeral. So all the stars aligned to make that a game in which the Tigers should have been able to roll. And guess what? They finally did something they should have been able to do when it comes to rolling a team. It was actually a fun game, I think, for Missouri.
I think we made a lot about earlier in the week about how the Tigers, I don't want to say they swung and missed on Keanu Post, but certainly he underperformed up until Saturday. We really first saw the kind of skill set that he can bring to the Tigers, especially with his 14-point performance against the Bulldogs.
Well, and he said after the game, too, that he thought that he had been playing better in recent games, and he'd been earning some time. Some folks had said, well, he's not scored that much of the conference season. It was something like 8 points before that game against Mississippi State in the SEC season that he breaks out for a 14-7 game, and he was a factor. He was backing guys down. He put up a tip in right at the buzzer. He was showing the instincts that they saw from him in JUCO. That's what got a lot of teams interested in Keanu Post as a junior college transfer. That's why he was an All-American type player at that level, and he finally showed it on the big stage. It was refreshing to see from him. Also saw Torrin Jones continue strong play. Jonathan Williams III maybe didn't add as much as some would like, but again, with a freshman, you're going to see that at times. Overall, though, the interior play was strong against the Bulldogs. They really didn't have any answer for Mizzou inside. And when have we been able to say that this year?
And here's the other thing, too. You see a game where Jordan Clarkson and Jabbar Brown don't have to do as much. Brown did have 21 in the victory. And Frank Haith said after the Georgia game that it looked like they might have been pressing. It's going to give them a lot more confidence when they see an effort like they saw from the interior, especially going into this final week of the regular season where they're not going to be able to just win with just Clarkson and Brown and Ross doing the deed.
Well, he preached trust, and that's what it looked like the team did. Gee, the team listens to Frank Haith. Some folks would let you believe that that never happens under any circumstances, that he's lost them. No, that's poppycock. Frank Haith has got a 20-win season. By the way, the 6th straight 20-win season for Missouri. That's the first time it's ever happened in program history, so congratulations to the Tigers for that. Obviously, the team took some direction because we saw not a season high in assists, but I think it was 19 by the time it was all said and done.
19 assists on 33 baskets.
And so this was the type of game where the Tigers' offense could run at its full potential. But let's also not delude ourselves.
It was Mississippi State.
It came against Mississippi State. So the real tests are going to come later. Texas A&M comes into town for senior night, which is always a challenging factor because you have to deal with those emotions. Some guys deal with it better than others on senior night, and sometimes you honestly come into those games a little bit flat.
Ernest Ross will be playing his final game inside Missouri, and it could be more because of the fact that we might be seeing the departure of Clarkson and or Brown at the end of the season with foregoing their final year for the NBA draft potentially. The Tigers also play Saturday against Tennessee before the SEC tournament begins in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. And I tell you what, there probably hasn't been as big of a road game for Missouri in recent memory as this one that will end the season on Saturday.
Well, I'm not going to say that you can assume a win against Texas A&M yet, but let's just say the Tigers win on senior night on Wednesday. Then you go into a game against Tennessee at their place, and both these teams are basically playing for their tournament lives. The loser would have to win the SEC tournament, we imagine, to make the big dance, and the winner of that game has a chance to make some noise, maybe even as few as one win in tournament play, to get themselves into at least that play-in first round in Dayton.
And there also could be Arkansas playing themselves back into the mix.
That's right.
Winners of each of the 7 of their last 8, including a victory over the weekend that gives them at least a little bit more promise going forward. For Matt Michaels, I'm Will Palaszczuk. He's wearing green and blue stripes. I'm wearing white and gray.
Nothing the same.
Nothing
Why
the
do
same
you
about
focus
that.
on color during this segment?
I like color, I like clothes, and I like consistency. 3 C's. Hope you enjoyed our Mizzou Monday recap. We'll talk to you after Wednesday when the Tigers play Texas A&M. Pre-game coverage on the Zimmer Sports Network at 6:30.